Sam, I hope you're well, mate. This is all about you. This short vid is just to give you some help and some cues around some of the things that I've noticed in the game and some of the things that you've done really, really well as well. So I think there's two key themes in this. The first theme is about receiving on the back foot. This is a really important detail when you're playing in what I would call an inverted winger position. Inverted winger to me means that you're a right-footed player, but you're playing on the left-hand side. So the whole idea of that position is how can you trick somebody thinking that you're going to play down the line with your left foot and then cut inside. At the moment, what we're doing is we're showing the opposition that we want to play inside all the time. One of the best things about this team is about how we vary things up and how we disguise things. So the first picture that we'll show you in a moment is the first picture is around how you receive on the back foot and some examples of doing that. And then the second point is about how you bring other players into the game through holding the ball up. There's a really good picture around you winning the ball in the final third, as we're in a defensive situation. And what I need you to think about is how can you bring other players into the game by either taking contact and getting a foul, or by holding that ball up and bringing other players in and playing backwards in those pictures. So without further ado, mate, I'll share these with you. So some of these are around other players as well, but we'll just specifically talk about your detail here. So you're playing in the left winger position. I really like you when you play on one touch. I think that is a real good trait for you. So you're now sort of behind Will Beards. Will Beards is beyond you. You win the ball back here, and I love it when a player gets into this position, and we should score. So we call that the half space. So let me just change the lines on this top right hand corner screen. So we've got the right ones for you in the attacking unit. Sorry, 2 seconds, mate. Should have done this before the video started. Thirds, we want 3 lanes. We want 5 lanes if we can. Brilliant. So what I mean by the half space is you receive the ball in the wide area. Now, if you look in that top right-hand corner, you can see that you're in this lane here, which for me is the most important lane for you to get into. These two, what we call half spaces, are the most important, and usually the central midfielders, when you're in that position and you're cutting back, we should be in the central areas to attack the ball. So really well done. I'm going to talk a little bit about Hughesy in a moment, just to give you some context of one thing that comes up in one of your pictures in a moment. But really good ball in, and we should score. So really good use of your left foot here, mate. I think the detail is absolutely brilliant, and that tenacity to go and help and support. So let's just watch that clip back in entirety. So you're receiving on the front foot there, and if you look at your body shape, you're always going to be playing backwards. Now, this is this is a great decision from you, and the bit for me on this is about the variation on how you can sometimes show down the line being on your left foot, and then sometimes you're showing on the inside. It's just how you get that variation and don't just continue to do the same thing. But playing inside there and then playing down the line, it's a really, really good play. And then you're going backing up your teammates, get the ball, get to the byline, cut backs, and we should score. Now, what I just want you to think about for just watch Hughesy here. So he's not rushing to arrive in the box. He's not rushing. All of a sudden, it comes alive and he does what we call a double movement. So if you just watch that 5 seconds, he pulls out and then he attacks the space. Okay, that double movement is really important as a striker, and we'll talk about that because you've got a picture where there's something similar that happens. So he pulls out and then he attacks the space that he created with that movement. Okay, so some detail there around you. Brilliant getting in and around the ball, getting the cross away, but also some detail from a centre forward position if you find yourself into that in that picture, which you do. And we'll show that. Okay, so something, and I'll just talk about Hughesy again in this picture. So Hughesy's receiving the ball now, and all his job is to retain possession, so we can then, as a team, go and collect the ball further up the pitch and move up. There's a picture shortly where this comes where this comes out, and I think you could do a better job at this. Clearly, you haven't got the physical side like Hughesy, but somehow you manage to win the ball 9 times out of 10 when you're in those positions. So I think it's been smart. Now, if you look how narrow we are here, so a picture that I want you and Davey to think about is, how do you start wider and come in instead of starting narrow? So if you think about this, I want you in the wide zones and you're coming in instead of in the half spaces from the offset. And the reason why that happens, the reason why I want you to be considerate of this is if I put a line in between. Sorry, that's the wrong one. If I put lines in between these defenders, just look how narrow they are. If you're in the wide space, those lines get wider, and therefore you can absolutely dominate. Now, because they're narrow, one of the plays that you could do here is receiving on the back foot. So because you're in all that space, when the ball comes into you here, you can drive into this space, because look at that gap that you've got now in between you and this man here. It's quite wide. So I think if you receive on the back foot there, the game changes. What happens is you're playing into the middle, into the congestion here. So you're playing the ball into Hughesy. I want to see you being more attacking in this picture, receive on the back foot and drive into that space. We've just seen what happens when you get behind that defence. So if the defence is narrow, receive on that back foot and drive into that space. Try to vary that receiving on the back foot to receiving on the front foot. Good tenacity here. I think, really good reaction from that mistake. We've now displaced a couple of players and you're driving through, which is just phenomenal for you, mate. I think, if I was to sort of give a summary of what you do when you're on the pitch for us, I think this just really summarises it perfectly. So you win the ball back, you're driving into space. Imagine if you received on that back foot into that wide area and what damage you could have done driving at people with your skill and your speed. So really good picture. Really good picture 2 there. Picture 3. Let's just watch this play out. Oh, let's take those lines off because they don't make any sense now. So again, if you think about that pause point there, so let's just look at this 2D. So, right, so if we look at this pause point here, and if you look at this radar, what do you notice about this space here? What are you noticing? So if I just draw lines on their defensive structure, they're massively displaced at the moment. So, I think this is the area that you need to absolutely destroy the opposition with. So again, that detail of awareness. So could you scan here? And what I mean by scan is, could you be looking at this space here if your eyes are on this space now, so you check. If you're checking your shoulder, can see all that space. I think that's really your coaching point in this, is looking out for all that space on the pitch and then driving into it. So now, instead of doing what you're comfortable doing, do what you're uncomfortable doing, receive on the left foot, let that ball come across your body. And then we actually get a really good chance here. So let me just take those lines off again, because that wasn't their defensive structure. So I think you arrive at a perfect time here, and it's just unfortunate that the ball doesn't come to you. So you're in the right zone. At this point, I think you're in the right zone. Could you just predict that pass a little bit better? Maybe. Now, this is that, if you think about how Hughesy reacted in this situation a moment or two ago, Hughesy dropped off here. So Hughesy dropped off into this space, opened his body up, and then went and attacked it. It's what we call a double movement. So we give one for the opposition, we move once for the opposition, and then we move twice for ourselves, as we call it. So just think about how you can get that double movement. And within that double movement, what it then enables you to do as well is get your shoulders facing the goal. If you look at how your shoulders are facing at the moment, your shoulders are facing that way and that way. So, you know, if you think about, if you pulled out here, what you could do is you could get your shoulders facing this way and this way. So it gives you that real open body for you then to go and finish properly. It's a poor ball in, granted, but think about how you could have made that simpler for Will Beards in that moment. Hopefully these are making sense, mate. If they're not, just speak to me in training or in the YouTube, put some comments below, mate. And so again, if you look at this radar, just look how narrow we've made this pitch. Okay, and I think if I just track your movement here, let me just track. Sorry, mate, I'll bring this back in a second. Let me just track your movement, okay? So look where you are there. And you'll see a line appear now. And then you curve it the other way because the ball goes that way, okay? So if I just pause it there. So look how your movement went out wide. What I want to see your movement doing is starting out wide and then coming in to receive the ball in that space. So if I just pause it there, okay. So look where the ball is there and your run's curved and you're heading away from goal. What I want to see is you starting out wide, recognising that picture of that pass and then receiving the ball here. And if you're receiving the ball in front of the man, because you've got the pace, you've got the strength, you'll use your body in the right moment, you're then facing the goal, receiving, and it's a right-footed pass into the bottom right-hand corner of the goal. So if we just play that back, the detail for me is, can you be in behind this player here so we can't see you? You're in the blind side, so you're on his shoulder. And then once you're in that position, can you receive and get onto the ball in the positive space? I'm going to share this picture with you. Sorry, I've got somebody at my door, I think. So this final picture is just how you hold up the ball. So the ball comes in here, and if I pause it at this moment now, how can you protect the ball to bring in all of these other players onto the pitch? That's the bit for me now, is how can you bring those into, how can you bring those players into the game instead of losing the ball. So you're showing the player the ball here, use your back, use your strength to protect. If you then look at the players that are in support here, we've got all of these players that are absolutely working hard to come and support you, that are around you. So you know, that's the picture for me, is how can you bring in those players into the game instead of trying to play forward and take everybody on yourself. I think that is your clips, young man. Let me just check the final one. Yeah, I don't think you're on the pitch on this one, so I don't know why I tagged you in this one. But that's it, mate. Think about those two key points. Well, there's probably three key points just based on what we spoke about. First one is receiving on the back foot. Think about how you can vary that. Go direct into and receive on the back foot as from your left foot perspective as the left winger. Being able to think about your double movements in that zone. You know, if you're in that danger zone, can you do your double movements? There's also that bit around staying out wide and recognising when to come in from the switch pass. If you start in the middle, then you're running away from the goal. If the ball, you know, from a receiving perspective, there was one around you holding the ball up in that attacking unit as well. So and bringing your other players into play. Right, dude. Have a good Easter. Catch you soon. Ciao for now.